All right, everybody, welcome back to Skywatchers Radio, right here live on PSN Radio. That is psn-radio.com for the layman's who are not on the website and they're listening on TuneIn or something. Get to the website, go to the chat room. Hey, join us. It's a lot of fun. Guest on the show, Steve Asher, is, look, he's a former correctional officer. He's worked a total of 10 years in the Kentucky State Penitentiary. He wrote a book about the paranormal and the activities that he saw as an officer. And, of course, some of it involves stuff that happened in the sky, which, of course, is Skywatchers Radio. So, with that said, Steve, welcome to the show, my friend, and thank you so much for being a part of the show here tonight with us. Appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's an honor.
No, the honor is all ours, believe me. Believe me, because without you, we don't have a guest, and it'll be like yesterday's show.
Now, I've heard you guys go back and forth. You could fill this up.
See, he knows.
Come on.
Thank you. But we're still excited to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah.
Now, let me just jump off here in the very beginning and ask you, 10 years as a correctional officer, I'm sure you saw some crazy things, not paranormal related, as a correctional officer. In the 10 years, when did you start seeing some paranormal stuff happen to you or happening around you?
Well, I mean, you got to kind of consider, too, the environment. To quote Whack-'em Willie, it ain't no fun. You see a lot of dark stuff. You see, obviously, the worst elements.
Who?
You've never heard of Whack-'em?
Quoting who?
Whack-'em Willie. You never heard of Rackball? You never heard that? Oh, God. You got to YouTube that.
He's a big city boy. You're from Kentucky, terminology.
I got Wi-Fi. Come on. Not everybody has banjos here. I'm close enough to the south. I'm more children of the corn. There's a lot for that. We're far west of Kentucky. We hear the banjos, but we know to run.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You were asking.
No one says them their pretty lips y'all got there. Huh?
Nobody
I love Eli.
Nobody I hang with. I mean, there was a couple guys in prison like that, but that's another story. But
there's got to be some paranormal stuff in the prison as well too, with all the people that have gotten killed or shanked and all that there.
Yeah.
All that. I mean, you got to understand. I mean, yeah, people get jabbed over, or shanked over anything for just the minorest transgression. Anything. You may look at somebody's man wrong. That's a whole nother level. But yeah, I mean, you got to remember that is very much a petri dish for the worst elements of humanity. And sure, yeah, I mean, but to answer your question about when I first started seeing stuff, I may have been there for 3 or 4 months, and it was a situation where my first actual encounter had to do with the death house. The death house is where at one time had been where they kept all the death row guys, but it's the walk. It's
sounds like a pleasant place.
Oh, it's really nice. A few throw pillows, it'd be a summer home. But what happened was they would keep what they called Old Sparky, which was the old electric chair. And anyway, so we were down there and making tours of stuff, and it had a really oppressive feeling to it. I never saw anything like that, but it definitely set the tone for it. But the actual first time I physically saw anything was I was working in Fort Sale House, and there's a walk called 20 River Walk. Because one side it's like 2 stacks of if you put apartment buildings bang 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 on top of each other, like a small apartment building inside of a house.
Right.
Okay, on the prison side, that's prison, and obviously, well, consequently, the river side's called river. We got that figured out at least. So anyway, down on 20
If
River. If
anybody was singing a song in there, it'd be called the River Song. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, you got that joke.
Oh, sure, yeah, spoilers, always.
Spoilers.
But I was actually working in what they call a control center, and that is what monitors and maintains all the cell let-ins and let-outs and all that mess. Well, anyway, I kept getting some sort of gloom. It's the only way I can describe it, just sort of like a weird the tonality of the lighting was off, like something was blocking it. Anyway, as time went on, it started kind of coalescing into like an orb, and it was like super, super bright. And let me go on. You were mentioning about guys taking this and that. I've never smoked anything other than a ham. I don't even smoke cigarettes. I barely ever take aspirins. So, and as far as I know, they hired me, so I don't think I'm completely insane. But as we watched this, or as I watched this, it, glowed, and it was really super illuminated. But what was weird, it didn't It didn't cast a shadow. It didn't anything. And so I thought, well, maybe there was somebody down there playing, doing it somehow. And anyway, the officer would go up, had these big long rungs of stairs. Well, he'd kind of come by and watch me, and it had gone by the time he was down. And then we waited, and it started kind of doing weird stuff again. He's like, what are you looking at? I was like, man, I don't even want to tell you. I'm a new guy. You're going to think I'm nuts. And he said, nah, maybe not. Tell me what you saw. And I told him, I said, it looked like a giant, just like a bloated beach ball of an orb. It came, and it sort of swirled left and right. It almost had like almost a tail to it, and whipped past the camera and was gone. And he said, that sounds about right. And I was like, why is that doing that? I didn't see any other walks doing that. And he said, well, that used to be the death house walk. At one time, we housed death row inmates in here, and there had been stabbings and killings. He said, was it toward the front of the back? I said, it was toward the back. I said, yeah, there was a lot of killings back there. Because once you get so many people down a narrow hall, obviously 4, 5, 6 deep in, and it's like probably 20 cells in, you just really don't know what's going on until you see the body when everybody gets in their cells.
Right.
I mean,
and you purposely stayed working in this place?
Yeah, I've got a thing, like eating. You got to remember, I've got 3 little girls. I'm trying to put through school. Had 2 little boys. That we adopted. What I'm trying to take care of, and yeah, but you got to understand, in Kentucky, it's like, I can either be a farm boy, which I'm not, or you can go. This place doesn't close. It has medical. You can retire at the time I was there. You could retire after 20 years. And the thing was, I don't know if I ever told you this. My father actually worked there in the 50s, and my granddad actually was in there for bootlegging a long time ago. Which, this is Kentucky, guys. You're gonna have to give me a pass on that. But so it sort of was like a thing of, well, let's give it a shot. I was just gonna go. I'll give it a year. And find something else. That's the curse of the penitentiary. Once you get in, was it a Scarface? I keep trying to get out, and they keep pulling.
That's The Godfather 3.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry.
I know my mafias.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, like I said, but it's one of those sort of things. And there's also that morbid curiosity that I've got. You got to remember, too, guys, that, I grew up on, as I'd mentioned, you were talking about some of the stuff, what you saw, Demon Mummy. And I'd mentioned, maybe there'd be a new Hammer film. I grew up on all the old Hammer films, all the Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe stuff, Evil Dead, all that stuff, Return of the Living Dead, all that type of stuff. That was my world. And so I always had an interest in it. And I always read about ghosts from guys like, Hans Holzer and people like that, which, some people love them, some people hate them. But just for a little kid that was hungry to learn about stuff, because I had saw stuff that really freaked me out as a kid, and I was trying to understand it. Somebody once told me, look, if you see something, if it's not directly hurting you, learn about it. And then it takes the power away from the fear and stuff, And it was one of those, like, the more kind of after school special moments, but it happened to do with, ghosts and things. So I would be this little round kid rolling up to the library, excuse me, ma'am, what do you have on demonology and witchcraft? Oh, do you have anything on, and they're looking at me like, what is with this kid? But
in the middle of Kentucky, yeah, they're just like, whoa.
We haven't had a witch burning in at least 20 years. Not a joke. That's a joke. But
it's more like 10.
No, it's a joke. It was last week. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, you got to remember, it's one of those things. I hate to have, and I'm not going to go off on too much of a tangent, but I will say this. Obviously, the South, to a point, deservedly, has gotten a bad name on stuff. And please understand, like our local government and some of our representatives don't represent all of us. We're not all like that. But
I've been to Kentucky. It's actually a pretty nice area. It's not a bad spot at all.
If you like lakelands and stuff like that,
yeah, it's nice.
Quirky stuff like that's cool. I've been all over. We went to Thailand to get when we went and adopted my son. We've been, God, man, Dallas here and there. We've been to Canada a couple different times and stuff. And so we were a little bit traveled. I'm not saying I'm a world traveler, or I guess I am technically, but your worldview shifts, and people are just people. And then I'll quit with that. But yeah, that's the thing. But for me, they kind of knew. Even back then, I was a little squirrely and a little different. But that's okay now, because now they're like, oh, well, hey, would you come to a book signing and stuff? I'm like, sure, okay. Really? One book, man, come on. So, it's really funny, because I never intended to be a writer. A friend of mine, Rob Shelsky, through Permuted Press, if you care to know, we were talking. about my experiences, and he said, "Did you ever write this down?" He said, "You're pretty descriptive on what you." Well, I said, "I'm really visual. I'm an artist and stuff, and musician and stuff." And he said, "Why don't you put this down?" So I did that and bumped it to him, and I'm figuring he's going to be like, "Sucks, hate it, sucks." But he's like, "Okay, we got to work on a few things, but this is not bad." He said, "Can I give it to my editor?" And I said, "Does he need a good laugh?" He says, "No, just humor me." He says, "Put me in a expletive." I was like, okay, man. So he did that, and shortly it was what was maybe like, I don't know, man, probably later that week or something like that, and he had come back and acted like the editor seemed to like it, which, again, I had no plans on being a writer or doing anything like that. It was actually Michael L. Wilson, and so we were talking, and he said he wants to release this, and I was like, okay. I said, well, I mean, I've got stories. I've still got people. What you got to understand about the Kentucky State Penitentiary is it's an active working prison. It's not like Eastern State Prison or like Penhurst and all these other places, which are super cool. I'd love to check them out. But it's an active haunt, and it's an active haunt with inmates, and it's an active haunt with officers, and they're all haunted to a point. I was when I was there. Would still have nightmares and stuff about some stuff I've seen there, and which that's anytime you work in that kind of situation, you always feel hunted and you always feel under the gun because you are.
Imagine, yeah.
You better feel that way. The day you don't, it's time to hop. And which only reason, I mean, I had, like I said, worked there 10 years, and as I mentioned, we've adopted children, epilepsy and special needs and things like that. We're advocates for that. We actually went to D.C. And advocated, but well, I mean, I'm not trying to honk or toot or whatever, but that it means a lot to us. And it was one of those things where I was able to get in a situation where I could teach special needs adults. And at the end of the day, I'd felt 10 years in, I've done all I could. I've helped as many people as I could, and there are some people there who are trying to make a change, But, I was like, it's just the same. I just feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. It's just a looping cycle of. I almost felt like a ghost in the place, honestly, after a while. And but the experiences I had, I never let go of them because they were so visceral. And the thing is, I'm still getting people call me and go, "Hey, Steve, when you worked on whatever, or maybe they're reading a chapter about second floor 5 cell house, or they're reading something about the infirmary, and they're like." I didn't think anyone else had seen that because nobody talks about it. They only talked about it because I press people. And even publicly,
Right.
You know how it is, like, it's hogwash. They catch you down in the what do you call it, the canteen, and go, "Hey, okay, well, I'm sorry, I just don't want to say anything. I don't want these guys to laugh me out, but here's what I heard." And then obviously, I had to go about, making sure to change names and things like that for people's personal stuff. But anyway,
I mean, in private, I'm pretty sure folks are a lot more open than they are in a public setting. Like that's happened to me before when talking to folks about the shows that we do.
Yeah, it's a comfort factor.
Yeah, so when I've been in groups of people, like work or whatever, and the topic comes up of the type of shows that I do, they usually giggle and laugh, and then they say, "Oh, flying saucers, that's some kiddie stuff. That's BS." But when I get the same people in private, normally their whole demeanor changes. They even come out with some stories of their own that they've had sightings and stuff. So I mean, I could definitely see that being
every
a big
time.
factor. Yeah.
You can generally gauge too. It's like there's a giggle factor. There's something to their look, and they keep kind of broaching it again. They keep kind of coming back to the point where I'm just like, "Look, man, if you got something to tell me, just which I'm not. I try not to be a jerk, but I'm kind of blunt. Like, "Look, man, I've got a job to do. If you got something to tell me, and they feel comfortable. And you also can understand. It's sort of a thin blue line deal, even corrections, I mean, it's a thing where you don't want to be singled out. You don't want to say anything about an area that maybe would be like, that might be security risk related and things like that, because I mean, I spoke to the warden about this book and let them know I was going to do it and everything. And so they were well aware of this. And, I tried to handle it as well as I could. I mean, I tried to get more interior shots, but it was one of those things that's okay. I got some good exterior shots, which is in the book, but it's one of those things. Also, we're in the Bible Belt. It is what it is, good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is, and you have to know how to work that. You gotta know how to ride the Bronco you got in your slot, to quote a little rodeo thing. that's as Kentucky as I'm going to get in my saying. So
That's pretty Kentucky. That was good.
That's pretty Kentucky. Yeah, that's pretty out there. Now, the book is called Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary.
Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary, yes, sir.
And the cover of the book is very eerie. I mean, that shot is very creepy looking.
Thank you. Well, that's exactly the way the early look at the prison is. You still have some of the multi-tiered, multi-leveled cell houses, which now they put up fencing and stuff. There's not a lot of what they call watermelon weekends. That's where you'd have somebody that maybe
I've had many of those myself, by the way. Watermelon.
Okay. Well, this watermelon, this is a different sort of watermelon. What that means is somebody didn't pay up, or somebody did something, and they tossed them off the tier head first, and their head popped like a melon when they hit the ground.
Oh my
definitely, that's different from my watermelon. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, it's a different world. And that's the thing. I'm going to probably say certain things, and if it seems off color, please don't take it that way. That's what I lived. So, but yeah, that's all part, and that goes beyond, and that explains a lot why there's paranormal activity there. For God's sakes, I mean, and consider the fact that all the good part of the construction was on inmate labor. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, did you have like inmates come to you with stories? As you were working, there, just randomly come up to you and tell you about stuff they seen, or that happened often.
You would have. If you think guard, which I say guards, you got to understand. When I hired in, I wasn't a CO, I was a guard, and I was trained. Honestly, the first guy who trained me was an inmate. My captain. Actually, I did 3 years at what they call the Farm Center, which is a medium minimum security. And I went to my captain. I was like a little greeny guy coming in, and hello, sir. Salute. It's good to meet you and all this. And I said, well, who's my supervisor? And he pointed over to the guy with the broom, and he said, hey, follow him. And the guy knew every key. And so I was a guard, but as of inmates telling you stuff, it was more of a thing once they kind of knew you, and which they knew my family more as, the folks outside of there that did stuff that, advocated for special needs kids and stuff. So they read about me in the newspaper. They'd ask me, which is the first time you get somebody go, hey, I seen your family in the newspaper. So, you bristle up like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's good. You're doing good work. And I was like, oh, okay. You don't know what you're thinking. Am I getting ready to have to, knuckle this guy or what? But it's a thing where they were pretty decent about it. I never really had that. But once they kind of knew I was also interested in that, they're like, oh, man, if you get permission, you've got to come up here and check out, go down, C&D walk where the showers are at. There's stuff popping off in there all the time. Or I work down in the infirmary, and you'll hear the locks pick up and smack on the cell front doors, or you'll hear a scream coming out. Oh, girl, I'm telling you, it's popping. It's off the hook. And I had a friend. There's actually a
So
story.
when are we all taking a trip over?
You can go. You and Al can go, because I know Al's in the chat room, and Al is like foaming at the mouth right now. I know he wants to go. So you and Al get down there and let me know how it works out.
I'm busy. I'm busy that week.
I'm busy too. We busy.
I ain't scared. Let's go. Let's do it. But the thing is, and I've actually submitted a form to go through segregation, and segregation is where they put the guys that pop off, jab an officer, jabbing somebody else, get caught in a compromising position with another inmate. Oh, just the nasty stuff in the world. So anyway, they go in there, and there was a walk, which is the old 15 walk that I told you about, and that's where like I said, the death chair's been. There was also a story in here called The Dead Man's Last Ride, and there was a friend of mine that stayed there. All right, in wintertime, this is the way it works. In Kentucky, if you have we had really bad ice storms. We don't really get a crap ton of heavy snow, but we get lots and lots of ice because we're in that cutoff. So we get a lot of freezing rain and ice. So anyway, a lot of officers couldn't get in. So they do a freeze. It's a state mandated thing. You cannot leave. So you'll be working maybe 12-hour shifts and trying to sleep down in an empty cell on an empty walk. I mean, that's just how it was. And I had a friend that was there, and real solid guy. And, most of these people, I didn't put anybody in here that was just and so then my spirit guide come to me and, this kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with spirit guides, but do you remember the scene in Ghostbusters? I think it was Ghostbusters 2, where Venkman had the paranormal show and the girl was sitting on and says, well, an alien, I was having a drink at the hotel, and says, the alien had a hotel room at, so it could have been a ship.
I tried to forget that one myself.
Oh my God. I just walked off from that kind of stuff, and I didn't get much of it. Most of the people that you can kind of tell in the cadence, and especially working this kind of work, or even in radio. I mean, which I've did several years in radio years ago, but it's a thing where you can kind of get the gist of a person's character and how they tell their story. And you can generally feel if it's, like you said, a BS story, or they're just doing this to clown on you.
Yes, John Selman.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
no. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Okay, I'm letting it go. Okay.
But yeah, you're going to see, I don't even know where this guy's at. You'll get me stabbed. I heard you talking about me. But no.
It'll sound more like, I heard you talking about me.
Stop it.
Okay, I'm done.
Let's surround ourselves in white light.
Come on, man. Let's just not start that fire, okay?
No. But yeah, I mean, in the situation, they were down there and they were on that walk, and kept hearing a lot of banging and scraping and stuff and whatever. And it's like, it's different from a cell door goes like shink, and it vibrates like that. And it echoes down the hall.
You were freaking me out. Stop telling me stories right now.
Okay. It's good to see you guys.
Somebody needs a little timeout area. Go ahead.
Show's over. As in I'm out. I'm sorry.
Just get your Snuggie and some chamomile tea. It's going to be all good. But
you wrote about the Ascension. Come on.
I know. Well, the Ascension was not scary. Not like this. Hold up. It's a whole different thing.
Pretty scary.
Yeah.
Continue.
So he was in there. He was laying actually in the old gymnasium. The old gymnasium, and it's had almost like a corrugated, there's like corrugated material that you put on ceilings, maybe like greenhouses, and it's like you can see through it. It's semi-transparent. Or whatever.
It's called coroplast.
Thank you.
Corrugated plastic. It's called coroplast.
Yeah. We just call it that there fancy see-through stuff.
With it.
That's what. And we're usually holding
that there, them fancy see-through stuff over there.
Man, yeah, that's space age technology right there.
Them there things.
That came out of Roswell.
That there and propane. That there and propane. That's like the two miracle things of Kentucky. That's what most people see. Okay, anyway.
Cool, Hank Hill.
Hank Hill, yeah, I try. But, yeah, I was like, is this a documentary? Or is this, okay. But, okay, so this guy was in the gymnasium, and so there's a little bit of light coming through. And he's laying on, like, one of the mats. It's the old gymnasium. Well, he keeps hearing all this weird stuff and clanging out there. Long story short is he goes out, walks around, doesn't see anybody. There's a gurney. It's like, why is it not hooked up, tied to the, outside cell bar? Anyway, he keeps hearing it. Long story short, he gets out to it, checks it out. This thing is ramping about 3 or 4 feet. Wham! Wham! Into the bars. There's nobody on it. There's no string on it. There's nothing. He flashes with the light. There's nothing there. The only thing that's out of place from what it was doing earlier, other than smashing into a wall unaided, there was an indentation spot where you could see a person's bottom and their legs where the impression would be. Okay?
Right.
He grabs it, and then the depression goes away, and it stops jerking.
Ooh. Oh, my God.
And I'd worked with this fellow for a good 7 years. And this wasn't until after he was out of the penitentiary as well. And I'm like, why wouldn't you tell me that? He says, I just didn't want to think about it, bud.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Can't say I blame him.
Yeah.
No, well, you got to understand. I mean, oh my God, it's like, all right.
No, you don't have to understand.
No.
That is probably a nightmare place to work, by the way. Not only do you got to worry about your life,
it's Dantean, I guess, if you want to say it or whatever. But, yeah, it's hellish, pardon my language. But you got to understand, too. It's just like, okay, you hit the subway, you go downtown, you catch, the L train or whatever. The city, you could die any minute. Okay, that's for here. That's the closest thing we'd had to that. And there's beautiful cities, and I love seeing cities. But what I'm saying is, there's a chance of death all up and down the road every day.
That's very true. Yep.
You can't be crippled by the fear, or you will not be able to function the job. I had guys I was training. I brought them in. They heard. You go through a series of about 5 gates. Each one, shaka-kong, shaka-kong. Click, 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 boom, all that stuff echoing. You start hearing the inmates screaming on our yard, fresh meat, right? So you know what's coming. These guys, half of them get shaky-legged, get ashy. Says, hey, I left my phone. I've got to get. And it's like, that's okay. No, I'm out of here, dude. He's trying to find any excuse. You can see his eyes tearing up. So let this guy go. Let this guy go. It's okay. Everybody else is calling them punks. I'm like, no, he's smart. He's smart because why are we here? You know what I'm saying? We're here because this is what we're doing to support our family. That's the only reason we come in here, and maybe to keep some of the more really hardcore felons and say child molesters and things like that, which I have a personal disdain for, locked in here. And that was my rationale. And everyone had different things, but you have, just like in law enforcement, you had a lot of officers that drank. You had a lot of officers that had a lot of other self-abusive things.
Issues.
Yes.
We're just going to call it issues.
Oh, yeah. Issues are like tissues. I mean, they were just, you get rid of one and there's another one popping up. And that's just a sad side effect of that. I had a friend, there's actually a story in here called Bobby Ray. I have a friend of mine who, younger guy, I trained him, walked him through, he was a young guy. And he honestly shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there. He was too soft-hearted. He wasn't mentally right for it. You kind of got to have some violence in your past to a point, grow up kind of rough to be able to roll with that. And I trained him anyway. And I even had, as I had mentioned, I have a group, the Caldwell County Paranormals, and we would check out different places, investigate local legends and things. And there's a place called LBL here, and there's had like the Beast of LBL and the LBL Dogman and stuff like that, which I'm considering writing about. But anyway, and it was getting to the point where I don't know how religious you guys are, but he was Catholic, very Catholic. I guess I don't know if you can be not very Catholic. It's kind of like being partially pregnant. You're either Catholic or you're not.
Yeah. Well, I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, so naturally I'm an atheist now. That's kind of what happens when you're a Jehovah's Witness.
I grew up Catholic, and I am in no way Catholic. So yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying you either cling to it or you run from it. I was raised up mainly Southern Baptist holiness here. Never handled a snake. Killed a lot of them with shovels, but I never handled one. But there was a lot of that kind of really hardcore fire and damnation stuff. But even then, I kind of saw through what I would consider as jive. Anyway, but he was religious, but he seemed like felt like he was oppressed, not possessed, but oppressed. Like he kept having issues with shadows. He kept having this, and I even said, "Look, you need to quit. We need to quit doing this for a while. You need to take a little time, build yourself up spiritually." Young guy, just had a family, just had a baby, and we were walking out of the cell house, walking out of the front steps. Is a big, kind of a L-shaped front. And I talked to him. I said, "Hey, man, why don't you call me here in a little bit?" And he's like, but he had a real deep voice. He'd had throat surgery, so he talked kind of like that. Not quite Sling Blade, like that, but like more
That's
like
how I sounded a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Summer cold stuff. But he, that's the last time I seen him. It's the last time I seen him. And he went home, and I had no other way of putting it. He took his head off with a shotgun. And
oh my goodness,
that was my shot across the bow. That's when I said, "I'm getting the heck out of here, man. I'm done." But I can't see any more people die. I can't deal with the games of the convicts and some of the guards. I'm totally sick of it. I got to get out of here. But in part of the way, writing this and some of these stories was kind of cathartic for me. It was sort of a purge, and just to like my swan song to it. And so, and that's the thing you got to remember. This took a while to write, and it was hard. It was really strange, and I don't want to say it was so hard, but I'm relatively fluent. I'm relatively able to converse pretty freely and moderately articulately, but it was really friggin' strange putting that to pen, because I'm sitting there going, people that know are going to go, yeah, they're going to get it. I didn't know how it would sound, and I was like, I don't want to sound like a crackpot, but I did it in such a way that I tried to not. I didn't want to make it schlocky. I didn't want to make it, creature featurey or something. There's some really hard, dark, gritty stuff in this book, because there's a lot of stuff. It covers everything from the original to the opening of the penitentiary, and I mean, because you understand where the penitentiary is, and it's a town called Ediville, Kentucky. They had to flood the original town to build that. They totally destroyed people's livelihoods, took their homes down. There's a ghost town. There's like parts of the old town under this water now. And it's one of those things that
built in a horrible place. Let me ask you a quick question. Any cases of maybe possession in the penitentiary that you know of, or just hauntings?
Okay. Well, now you also got to remember, I mean, on a personal note, I've definitely seen people that I think were under the influence of of some sort of stuff. You want to call it a dark entity. I'm not sure where I personally, I'm trying not to sell anybody to, and that's a bad thing about the South. You see something that is a little dark or has some sort of, a malevolent aspect to it. And it's like, it's a demon, boom, let's go get Benny Hinn to go smack these guys in the head. And I'm like, no, you got to research it more than that. But have I seen people that definitely seem to be on another level and communing with something else? Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I saw a guy basically castrate himself. I mean, with a smile on his face. I mean, come on. I mean, either he was just completely bonkers or there was something else going on. And obviously I'm not a psychologist, but you can deal with some people and just see in their eyes there's something else working. And I don't know if that's a thing where I'm not going to sit and go, oh, anybody can get possessed real easy, which I used to listen to like Father Malachi Martin, pardon the pun, religiously back in the old Art Bell days, which, he was like the guy got me into it. I listened to him when I was working wall stands and in the prison systems and stuff overnight. It kept me awake. But, man, that's a really tough question, Crystal. It's one of those things where my personal where my head is, yeah, you could definitely say it could be open to something like that. And if you want to call it possession, if you want to call it maybe communing with just darker energies, if you want to, whatever, definitely, because I've seen stuff in there, people that did stuff, just horrifically monstrous stuff, cannibal stuff, and it's one of those things as a human. Especially like a father, if these were done to women, your instinct is put it down. That's a mad dog. Put it down. But because I'm trying to do my job, I'm not there to judge these men. I'm there to house them. So you had to get a certain detachment, and I think that probably kept me from having some of the issues the other officers had because I could do that. It wasn't an us against them. It's I'm here to make it. I'm about me, and I'm making sure my family gets fed. It was never a cops and robbers game, but yeah, there's definitely stuff there, and that's what you got to understand. Even my dad, even my father, who's passed now. Before he passed, I haven't talked to him since, so that would be another book. But he had told me some of the stuff that he's seen, some of the stuff that he's heard, and my dad's was a real nuts and bolts guy. There was no room for that. That was just goofy, but things that to him would be quasi tangible in your face. How do you just walk that off? At least without having serious misgivings of maybe where your worldview is.
Right.
And that's where I was left.
Now you did tell me that when you were younger you possibly had some experiences that you might have considered abduction. Alien abduction, to be exact. Let's get into that a little bit. When was the first time that you could remember having an experience like that?
Well, as I had mentioned earlier, like I guess in messages and things, always was really drawn to nighttime stuff. I always tended to be up and going. That's where I feel the most useful and the most.
You're a creature of the night like the rest of us, yes.
Very much so, too. Yeah. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it is what it is. That's why one of the reasons I chose to work midnight shift. Which, if you want to see something creepy, work midnight shift. You're going to see it, especially in a prison. But
yep.
Yeah, and also we mentioned the fascination about owls and stuff, and I was always drawn to them, especially kind of like the snow owl or the ghost owl, with the big white kind of round face with the large eyes, and it wasn't until later with stuff like I think it was like the Fourth Kind and some stuff like that, and like Whitley Strieber stuff, I think it was Communion and stuff, that I kind of started going, oh, that's kind of weird. That's just a weird circumstance, but I didn't think a lot about it. But there was a time when I have seen things in the sky. I don't know what they were, but there was it was probably fall, late summer, fall, big harvest moon, right? Full moon, and me and my friend were hanging out, just backyard. We're just kids listening to music and stuff. And because we were like big metal kids and thrash kids and all that. So anyway, we're jamming out on like, I don't know, Whiplash or something by Metallica, I'm sure, I guarantee it. Anyway, neither one of us had mullets though. So get that image out of your head.
That's a step in the right direction in life. Right there,
always, yeah. I never owned a car with louvers or had a truck with the balls hanging on it. That's if a boy ever shows up with that to try to court my daughter, I might beat him down in the yard.
That'd be the wrap. That'd be a wrap right there. Yeah, there'll be no date after that.
Yeah, it's over. End of scene. But what I saw was, okay, let's say the moon was about the size of, and I'm a fat guy, so I compare things with food. About the size of like, all right, let's say here's a plug, a McDonald's hot cake, okay? McDonald's hot cake.
I'm with you.
Okay. Well, those yummy hot cakes. So there it is, glowing, and now I'm hungry. Thanks. So anyway, so it's sitting there hanging, just beaming. It's really, really bright, and I see something moving. It's not quite the size of that. It's probably 2/4 the size of the moon, slowly moving toward it. It's almost sort of a cylinderish, like almost, I hate to say a cigar shape, but it's kind of what it reminded me of. It wasn't super silvery. It wasn't blinky. It wasn't nothing like that. It was almost like you had like a big cigar shape, almost stone or something. So I thought, well, maybe that's a asteroid or something, or maybe that's but it didn't flip, it didn't flop, it went on a very slow gait, right? Just easy going along, and I thought it was maybe a cloud or something. I said that's a weird shaped cloud, but there's different type of weird clouds or whatever. So and I'm thinking, well, it's getting ready to hit across the moon. Well, it's going to get dark, man. I'll start saying you might want to turn the back porch light on. It looks like it might get bad weather. And
wait a second, it wasn't a third phase of moon, was it?
No, I mean it was a full moon.
Okay, good.
And that's the thing, because it was very well illuminated, and I thought, well, if this goes out, it's going to get, covers it up, it's going to get dark, and I was thinking maybe it would get rainy. So anyway, and we're sitting there watching it, and it never broke the skin of the moon or whatever broke over that, and it never dimmed. But that was really weird, and it looked like it went behind it, and I thought, well, okay, well, whatever, it's something weird out in space, maybe it's not a cloud, and it's going to come out the other end. It never come out. It was almost like it did a diagonal and went in straight in behind the moon and kept going. Which, you've heard later, I've heard all kinds of theories, about, maybe there's like a Stargate or something on the other side of the moon. We can do all the conjecture that you want. I have no hard facts to prove that. Mm-hmm. But that was super weird, but as of the abduction thing, the only real weird situation, and I understand, it started with a dream. Or what felt like a dream. And I was, we were living in this little small thatched almost like think of like a medieval hut. Like, you're sitting here and, like the guys that are pushing the carts, bring out your dead, that kind of thing, just an old time thing. It's a weird dream. So I go walking toward the back of the building, and it has, like the type of doors. It's got it's made out of sticks and pulled together, and you can look out the cracks. And I'm hearing my brother is closest to me, Michael, and he's screaming and kind of half muffling, like something's holding him down. And I see these two, like, bulky, almost like I didn't know what a shadow figure was then, but shadowy, and it had only definition you would see. It was like a very dark purple, almost a dark bloody crimson glow to it, and these things are on it. So I'm like, oh, well, I got to go help my brother, because apparently I really like my brother. I might have said, bro, you're own dude. Go limp, pretend you're dead or something. But anyway,
if it was my brother, I'd be like, I'll say something. Let's see a eulogy. Don't worry, I got you, bro.
Right. Yeah. Much love. I'm taking those Converse. But anyway, so anyway, we was poor kids, nothing goes to waste. So anyway, I was coming to the door and I see that, so I'm like, well, I got to help my brother, right? So I pop the door open, and there's apparently another whatever it is, and it's this thing to explain, because it really didn't have a lot of detail. Blackish with like slight purple, deep, like a purple bluish definition for the musculature, but the eyes were just like man, I'm trying to describe it. This is like like Stephen King It, which I love Stephen King, but this was like, like Pennywise when his eyes were blinking and she was hypnotized, and that lady said, "Don't you want it?" that thing, like it was just piercing. Oh yeah.
You love your brother. You love your I love my brother. I don't know I'd been able to do that.
Well, I popped the door open. Well, no, I didn't get to help him because this thing had almost like a big kebab thing, but it wasn't. It was like a stainless steel rod, and he jammed it deep into my leg, into my calf, which, that sucked. So I stumbled back into I stumbled back into the wall, and the door closes. And for whatever reason, I'm like, okay, I'm bleeding, pouring down my leg. So I go lay back on the little, like I'd mentioned, like a Life of Brian looking bed, with like straw and all that crap. So anyway, I lay back in there and I'm holding my leg, and then I black out from the pain. Well, okay, I wake up, rub my eyes. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm not even thinking about it. After a minute, I try to get out of bed, stand up on that leg. It won't hold me. I'm like, what the? All right, so I'm like, I don't know, maybe I had a Charlie horse, but it's not like that. It's not like you got your leg asleep. It's not anything like that, like a pinched nerve. It's just like a searing pain in my muscle. And so I go to look like, man, what's wrong with my leg? I don't see any damage to my leg. There's none of the like the classic half moon scoop marks, any of that kind of stuff. I didn't feel that maybe they implanted anything like that. I'm not even going there. But what I had was I was sleeping in some jogging pants, or jogging pants, as you say there, jogging pants.
Wrestling.
Like again, Bat Boys, or what you call it, not Bat Boy. Well, Bat Boys is real too. All that stuff, the star's real. But anyway, I'm joking. But I had about a 2-inch gash in my pants. There was no blood, and it was really weird. So I pulled up my pant leg and was looking at it, and there was nothing. I don't see how it was tore. I went to bed. These were new pants, and I couldn't really put weight on that leg for a good 35 minutes, and I never forgot it. I don't know why it stuck with me, but again, it's sort of, what is it? I don't know. I can assume a lot of different things, but the fact that there was a physical thing, it makes me have to wonder. The fact that it could have been a psychosomatic sort of self-suggested issue to the thing, but ever since then, I've always had issues with that leg. Wow. Don't know what it is. Don't know why it's like that. Like I said, again, it's a little bit different, and it was. I just kind of mentioned that in passing. Wasn't even going to bring that up, but and then that ties.
That's
in
a really big side note, Steve. Just want to let you know.
Yeah,
that's huge. Huge.
You know what reminded me of, especially since you brought up shadow beings and whatnot. I just posted a video there on the chat so you can check it out about a ghost attacking a person in the hallway, and it's for all intents and purposes, it looks like a shadow being grabbing this person and dragging him in the hallway. Right. Now, I wasn't a big believer in shadow beings until I saw that video, and I was like, okay, that's clearly not CGI.
Okay, if you want shadow beings, I'll give you 2 stories.
Oh no.
Okay, all right. On again, investigations. I was investigating a house where there had been a death in the house, and we were investigating the back room, and everybody was out. Power was off. We're going through with voice recorders. I still actually got the EVPs for that. We were walking through there, and that kind of like a heavier, like you have metal, or like not metal, like a ceramic or something on a tile, and it kind of makes that stone to get stone drag sound. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do you guys hear that? And it's like, and it was kept going, asked questions. I hear it again. It's like, what is? And by the time I said that, there was a fan that was sitting in the far side of the room, picked up, shot past me, and smashed into the wall. Obviously that wasn't cool. So I was like, what the something was that? And at the time, we felt, me and the other people that were there that was also witness to this, felt something kind of graze past our knees. And I thought, who let a dog in? Because the family had a dog. And I was like, man, hold on. I said, I'm going to have to stop this. Somebody get this dog out of here. Come on. So taking them out, or we went to take the dog out the door, and we opened the door. They're standing at the far end of the yard with the dog on a leash. I said, did this dog just run out? I said, the dog's never left us. There was nothing in there. Well, that's weird. But what happened was when we listened back to the EVPs, that's where it was really going off, because we couldn't hear it. And so you heard the bam, and I went, whoa. I turned it like Joey Lawrence all of a sudden. Whoa.
Whoa.
So bam, it hits the ground. And
good reference.
Well, thank you. I try. a lot of pop references. Like I said, I consider myself the Happy Gilmore of literature.
Nice.
I was always a guard. I never knew I could be a writer. But anyway, so here we go. And I listen to it, and you hear the crunch. And I'm like, what is that? Then you start hearing something building up like, okay. And then I'm going, man, who let a dog in here? And by then, this is going to sound a little weird, and I hope it doesn't mess your mics up. But it was like that. And I heard that, shot a chill through me. I said, come here, listen to this. What the H is this, right? And they're going, man, I don't know. Was that when we thought the dog was in there? I said, yeah, and there was no dog. That was really weird.
That's scary. That sounds like the other guy when he's clearing his throat every week. But
it's scary.
That sounds, it's scary.
I understand.
That's scary. I don't even want to watch that shadow video. I don't even want to watch it.
No, you should. It's
I don't want to watch
interesting.
Like before you go to bed and sleep with the closet door open with your hand hanging off.
And all the lights off.
Like entice them. Put like some peanut butter or something on your fingers, so they'll really smell like. Or hummus. I don't know. Maybe you have a
It's not fair. It's not fair. I sleep alone. Screw all you guys.
Dude, I sleep with... ma'am, I should call you ma'am. But, dude, I sleep with the closet door open. Because at this point, I sleep with the closet door open. I sleep because everything I've seen, what's it matter? You understand? I've became...
True.
And understand it. And this is a little bit of a serious note. Obviously, I'd mentioned to some of you that it's been right out of year that my son passed. And it's a thing where... I don't want to say I don't fear death. I'm not saying all that, but I learned very quickly. And he was only 15. If something's going to get you, it's going to get you. All I can do is do what's right by folks, and hey, bring it on, man. I mean, and I'm not saying that come at me, bro, stuff, but it's certainly changed my give a dang switch. It's probably broke at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I lost my mother a couple months ago, and I'm in the same boat.
I'm sorry to hear that, and. And the thing was, which I'll say that now. I don't want to dwell on that, not because I don't love him, but just it's not what this is about. We got him when he was 8 in an orphanage in Thailand, and he was deaf and special needs and had epilepsy and stuff, which is sort of what we specialize in. But anyway, we had him here 7 years, and we extended his life quite a ways. He was on Special Olympics. He had when he threw a ball, it had a motor on it. He was a very sporty little guy, and I miss him every day. But and part of this is that. I don't know what I believe in regards of an afterlife or heaven or any of that or, Valhalla or whatever thing you want to attach a name to, but maybe there is, and who knows, maybe I can see this little guy again because he was super cool. But until then, I'm just going to keep researching, and not to bring a downer to that point, and it is what it is. I miss him terribly, but I'm glad we had him the time we had him, and all that too. Has affected my writing. We are actually looking at beyond this book. I'm actually in the editing processes with Rob Shelsky, my editor, on book 2, which is about the Kentucky State or not Kentucky State Penitentiary, the Western Lunatic Asylum, which is the large mental asylum of this area, and also a Catholic school / orphanage. Around the Morganville, Kentucky area that we actually investigated, and that's going to have our initial investigation, the stuff we've seen, then all the different stories. There was a lot of death there, the different things that happened, accidents, and then we're going to do a follow-up to that and to see what we find, if any of that's maybe decreased, increased, if there's new activity, or if there's no activity at all. So, the third one we're changing up a little bit, but that's just, it's always been my thing. What does Austin Powers say? That's my bag, baby. So
you definitely got a lot of mojo, my friend. Look, Al in the chat room here brings up a great point. Don't fear death, guys. Don't fear it. I don't fear death. I fear reincarnation, to be honest with you.
I don't fear reincarnation. I don't fear death. I fear The Exorcist. That's my. For me, there are things worse than death.
Well, the TV series is coming.
Okay. I will not be watching that.
Oh, okay, I got an Exorcist story for you, young lady.
Oh my God.
Okay. Hold that thought. We got to go to a commercial break real quick. Hold that thought. Yes. When we come back from break, we'll jump into this Exorcist story with Steve Asher.
No.
And more hairs are going to pop up in the back of the neck.
Which one of y'all is coming to sleep with me tonight? Who's coming?
Oh my goodness. My wife told me I better not.
I'll make the drive, but then I got to go to work in the morning. It's going to suck. It's
I'm in Ohio. Sorry, not this time.
Yeah.
Next time.
There ain't no sleeping in Ohio.
I'll give you a rain check on that.
So
I think Crystal's not going to be able to
scared to go to
sleep
prison
with
now.
Well, you should be scared to go to prison, period. But I think Crystal's not going to be able to go to sleep.
Like you're saying, everyone's would. I have this vision now that Crystal has like this insane amount of like a hair shirt type thing going on her back.
She's a hairy lady. She's a very hairy lady.
I won't be able to sleep. Thanks.
No problem. Do it again. Luckily, I have a lot of work to do tonight, and I'm a night owl, so it's cool.
Big.
It's cool.
But no, we were talking about The Exorcist.
Yes, let's jump right back into that.
Right. And like I said, because I'd seen that. Really, I was way too small for that.
Way too small.
The family.
I was pretty small too when I seen it.
Right. Yep, I was like 7 or 8.
It literally is the only horror movie I will never watch again.
Okay, do you remember Cregan for Highlander? And if you don't know Highlander, I don't know if I want to talk to you anymore.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we all know Highlander, yes.
No, we used to throw babies to the dogs for entertainment.
Yes.
That was my family. Yep. We were very, very hard Southern family from Viking stock. It was, you sunk or swim with our family. There wasn't a lot of second chances. So you got exposed to dark stuff really early. And that was one of the things that I saw, which scared the well, we have an expression, the cowboy out of you. And if I had any of that in me, it's gone now because it was scared out of me. Somebody had said, which I know William Blatty wrote that in the screenplay, but somebody said the way that like the scenes were recorded and the way the music was done, I know there's certain tones, which this can go back into metal, talking about the tritones and all that, but the way it was recorded, it was set up to, which you can have suspenseful music if I can speak, but there was something really not cool with that. But then again, I say that, but I'm drawn to it. I watch it all the time. Beatles said, I watched it 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time I see it.
It's funny that you mentioned funnier because when I first saw The Exorcist as a kid, I saw it on a dare, and they told me it was a comedy. And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna laugh your ass off." I was like 7 or 8 years old, 9 years old. I was a little kid, and they're like, "You're gonna laugh so much. This is a hysterical movie." And I used to be like really big into comedies as a kid, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited to watch this amazing comedy." And I put it on, and about halfway through, I was screaming for my mom, my dad, and the lights had to be turned on. Now, mind you, when I was a kid, and we haven't even touched on this on the show yet, but the first house that we lived here in Miami, because we moved to California originally when we came from the Mariel in 1980. Yes, I am a Mariel boat lift victim or recipient or whatever you want to call it.
Represent.
Yeah. And the first thing we did, we moved to California for a few years. And when we moved to Miami officially, we lived in a house that used to be a funeral home back in the 60s and 70s. It was a huge house. And we saw all kinds of paranormal activity. I was like 5 or 6 at the time. So I was very traumatized by the stuff that we saw as a little kid in that house. So when we moved out of the house a year or two later for somebody to tell me, "Oh, you should watch this movie. It's so darn funny. You're going to laugh hysterically."
Oh, my God.
That's also something my mother would have done to me, though.
And this was told to me by a person who had no idea, by the way, of my background with the house. And yes, we saw some crazy stuff in that house. But when they told me that, I was like, okay, comedy, cool. I love it. I love comedy. And then I put it on, and halfway through, I'm nearly like sitting in a puddle of my own urine because I was just peeing myself from how scary this movie was. It literally is the scariest movie I think I've ever seen in my entire life. No joke on that.
Well,
that movie.
We'll go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to interject. That's better than set in someone else's urine. Trust me, because I've worked in a prison.
Well,
I've seen that happen.
That's true. That's true.
I can see that.
But, oh, God, I could tell you some stories, but I won't. No.
It's like the saying goes, it's better being pissed off than get pissed on.
Thank you.
Unless you're into that
movie
kind of thing.
scared me so badly, I was literally in the middle of having sex, had to stop and turn the light on. Not kidding.
Okay, you didn't see this when you were 5 because that's a whole nother dark.
I know. No, I didn't see that.
That's a lot of wet paint.
Hold on, we're having a little feedback, and I think it's because somebody has just joined us. 812, you're live on the air.
812, you're live on the air.
812 needs to turn their radio off.
For real. Thank you, 812, for destroying the segment there. Good job.
It's okay. You know what?
Continuing on.
Move on. We adapt.
Yes, indeed.
No, but yeah, that movie set the tone. You understand? You can't bring me like The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, which is a great film, but you can't, man, get that crap out of here. You bring it. All right, here's my top movies in as of that tripped me out or endeared me. Exorcist #1, Phantasm the original. And
yes,
you may not like Salem's Lot. I love Salem's Lot. Okay, love Salem's Lot.
I was a frightened guy.
Look, Phantasm, until this day, I'm afraid of tall white men. I'm afraid of them.
No,
I see a tall white guy, I run.
Here in Kentucky, but tall white men, so I'm screwed.
You're screwed.
Scary stuff. Scary stuff.
Nobody likes the tall man.
No.
He just passed away not long ago, right?
He was a super sweet guy because I had being a horror fan. Because you got to understand, guys, this writer thing is strange shoes for me. I'm a fanboy, you know. I love all that stuff, which I love sci-fi too, like you said, Doctor Who and stuff. Which, okay, real quick, just a quick tangent. Who does not think that Craig Ferguson would not make an incredible Doctor?
Oh my goodness, yes.
There's a page on Facebook, and I suggest you to like it. And I actually tried to write to him. It's like, why aren't you doing this? And I'm not saying the new Doctor sucks, but the way that they're portraying him kind of sucks.
I'm not a big fan of the latest Doctor. I liked I
like
Eccleston, Smith.
Thank you.
Tennant, I thought it was awesome as a Doctor.
Right.
I'm not really feeling Capaldi's version of the Doctor too much. His two seasons haven't been that good.
The new episodes should be Doctor Who, stay off my lawn.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, you ain't getting this frisbee back. It's just like too far old manish. And then they try to make him hip and cool, which I knew he was an old punker back in the day. I know that because I'm an old punker too. But it's like, come on, man. It's just not. It's not selling. It doesn't sell.
The thing is, when you go from like Tennant to Smith, it's really hard to go backwards to an older Doctor like Capaldi, and they do have to try to make him look hip and stuff. But it's tough.
It's like getting the guy, the diabetes guy, putting the hat on backwards, and and flashing gang signs. It doesn't work. But at least Craig Ferguson, he's edgy. He's like the. Robert Downey Jr. of which I think he would make a great Doctor too, but he doesn't have the that sound that you would connect with it. But anyway, Exorcist. All right, Exorcist, Salem's Lot. It. I've just got a new T-shirt my wife got me from me doing this book thing. She was proud of me and got me a Pennywise shirt, which I pretty much wear until she says, "Please wash that." So So I'm a huge fan of the genre, and the same thing with talk radio, and so the fact that I'm getting to talk to you all, you guys, you don't understand. It's surreal for me, and that I've been afforded a gift, to not only follow. Sort of, not so much my dream, because it was never my dream to be a writer. It's strange. I just sort of fell into it. But to talk about this stuff with you guys, it's really humbling, and I appreciate it.
It's your calling. That's what I always say when somebody tells me that I wasn't planning to do something that just happened, because that's your calling in life. Mm-hmm. That's what you were meant to do.
There you go.
Everything happens for a reason. There's no coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences or just stuff that happens by chance.
Well, there's synchronicity,
Yeah, there definitely is. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you were meant to do what you're doing. And, when we had a conversation on chat a few days ago, you mentioned something that was very interesting, because it's something that a lot of us in the realm of ufology kind of have been talking about for a long time now, how a lot of this paranormal stuff and ufology, UFOs, ghosts, it's all kind of interconnected. It's intertwined in a lot of ways. What's your theory on this, for example, that maybe what we're seeing is not so much not so much ghosts or demons, but perhaps, beings from another dimension that are not exactly spiritual?
Well, I mean, all right, this is I kind of go on what I call the Tesla mentality. Everything's vibrational, everything's electrical.
Right.
Everything has, even the running waters of in front of the prison, which I think might also has something to do with running water through like limestone, tends to create a certain vibratory tone, and can, I guess, agitate or stimulate, if you want to use the word. I'm probably not using it properly, but that type of energy, and that tends to draw that kind of activity. But yeah, you got to remember too is, you look at like different religions. A lot of people believe heaven, hell, earth, all that is. It's just in the same place, just through a veil, and I think if you get your vibrations right, I definitely think that you can see or contact what they are. I don't know, but I've done that enough where and especially like in ghost hunting or investigating. I'd have to say ghost hunting because I'm not running around, let's go bag one and stuff, but. You definitely, once you get into that, it's just like, okay, say you just bought like a red Mazda or something for what? I don't know why you want a red Mazda, but let's say you bought it. Bought a red freaking Mazda. Okay.
Shame on you for buying a Mazda.
Man, my first car was a Pinto. Oh. I didn't care. I was already not scared to death.
Yeah, no kidding.
So anyway, let's say, okay, you bought. Let's pick a car you like. A Lamborghini. Hey, let's get some product placement. Let's get you guys a car.
Now we're talking.
Something like that. All right. Well, you say you buy a red one of those. You start noticing those all through town. Oh, well, there's more of these than I thought there was. Once you start attuning your eye and your mind into a point, your personal vibrations, if you want to get hippy-dippy with it, I think that you open yourself up for that. And I do think that's probably very true. I try not to label stuff as angels, demons, ghosts, and all that because I don't know. I can lie. I can, if you want to hear that, I can say it's this or it's that. And I've had some visit. When I was really small, my great-great-grandmother, who was Native American, she was actually on the Trail of Tears, and her family died at our town here. It's called Big Springs, and they camped over there, and the mother passed away, and a local family adopted her. And anyway, I used to hear that story. After she passed, I remember seeing her. It was really strange. It was like, now I look at it as scary as hell, right? Because it was like, that weird kind of jaunty, quick, like you're stepping, kind of ringish. I hate to say that, grudgy, where they walk and then they go and they move kind of quick like that, like it fades in and out, and it's
again.
Mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
like the scenes are cut, but she's sitting there smiling, but she had a content look to her, and I was very small, and I was so young I didn't understand. Oh, she's dead now. That ain't supposed to be happening. Now that might make you say, well, do you think you're a sensitive? Do you think you're an empath? Do you think I don't claim any of that, nor have I really tried to foster that ability. I just think I've had weird situations. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's more. God, I pray there's more than this world. But don't get me wrong, this world is all right, I mean, take the best of it and weather the worst of it. But, yeah, it'd be super great if there was something beyond this, and you can see, Grampy Tim or whoever, and, get your dog, King or something that you lost when you were 7. That'd be great. Which I think if people are to pass on, I think animals do too. I think it's a little arrogant that humans, or a lot of people, especially it tends to be a Western thing. You talk to Native Americans and stuff. I believe the term was animists. They believe everything. The water has a spirit. The rocks have a spirit. Everything. The air.
Absolutely.
Why not? Why is that such a silly idea? I mean, we got to consider, people like organized religion has been around X amount of time, but then every year there's more people like, Dr. Heather Lynn, a friend of mine who does a lot of research and stuff, constantly finding weird stuff, like human footprints and strata that was way, way, way past, And I don't even get into the 6,000 year belief that let's not even start that. I'll start a storm, but you can't argue hard science, and you can't completely dismiss that because it's as believable as anything else. And I've touched on some of that, and to a point that's touched me. And that's just.
Okay, hold on. We have a caller on the air. 812, you're back on the air, and you're still echoing.
Still echoing?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Are you listening on your laptop or what's going on?
I'm listening over a smartphone.
It's not very smart, let me tell you. Kill the audio on the smartphone and talk to us directly.
All right.
I mean, I sound dead sexy, though, let me tell you, man. I have a sexy voice.
You
Oh, my
sound good.
goodness.
Yeah, you do.
I turn myself on right now.
Oh my God.
I'm turning myself on.
So if you had a
So
second
hard.
radio, you'd be like trifecta sexy.
Oh my goodness, so many echoes. We are lost in time.
Okay, I'm sorry, 812. I'll give you enough time. Look, guys, let me tell you something. If you're going to call into any radio show, turn off the radio, for crying out loud, man. Just turn it off.
You got to turn it
off. If you're going to call in on a smartphone, make sure there's no echo feedback. I don't know what the hell's going on there. I mean, I have a strange...
You got to give the guy credit. I guarantee he's probably maybe recording it or something and just trying to keep it low.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
we're good.
The podcast is free, guys. It's a free podcast. You go to the website, Sorry, 812. I'd love to have you on the air, but not like that. It's cool. Just not like that.
I'm really surprised that with it being a local thing and stuff, that I haven't had somebody like denouncing this and that as devil worship and stuff. I will say that times have changed here, and 20 years ago this wouldn't have happened. Definitely wouldn't have been greeted in such a gracious way from the locals and stuff like that, which I'm a native of this area anyway. Why shouldn't they? But it's a thing where, pretty much everybody, even the little local Walmart, which everybody goes to Walmart, right?
Yep.
Which, and to answer, I'm sure you got this thought going through your head, Crystal. I will not be wearing sleep pants to the book signing. Thank you very much.
Oh, I will. No, I wear sleep pants to the book signing. I don't shop at Walmart because Walmart sucks, but I'll wear my Star Wars sleep pants. Don't play.
Oh, no,
I am also an author, and I work from home. I don't get dressed.
I feel that. Yeah, I've got some really kicking Star Wars ones and Walking Dead ones.
Okay, that's
very nice. Very nice.
That's
very
what's
nice.
up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, they've been very, very good and gracious about it, and they kind of understand I'm not going away. So it's one of those things. It's time to get with the times, and
no, but you know what? There's more of an acceptance for this kind of stuff, and it's not just in the U.S. It's worldwide, really. More and more people believe in aliens and UFOs. More and more people believe in ghosts in the afterlife than ever before. I mean, this is not a new phenomenon. Art Bell, a long time ago, used to talk about this, saying that the veil is going to drop, and eventually we're going to be able to connect to the other side easier. And I think along with that line, with the veil maybe dropping and we're able to connect to the other side, more and more people are having these connections, and that's why more and more people believe in this stuff, because it's spreading out to more and more people. Look, when I said earlier that a lot of this stuff is intertwined, and it might be interconnected, I do believe that there is a lot of stuff that is interconnected. I think aliens have been mistaken over the millennia as trolls or as demons or all kinds of different things. Right. Because if you talk about 400 or 500 years ago, and this makes perfect sense. You talk about 400 or 500 years ago, a ship lands somewhere, a bunch of little gray guys going to somebody's barn or something, and they abduct somebody. They're going to think it's demons. They're not going to think aliens from another planet came by because they have no reference.
Well, they're
going
to go. Yeah, they're going with their skill set. And like I said to, as an older fellow in the prison once told me, let me drop some knowledge on you. You have to look at it like maybe the paradigm shift isn't outward; it's inward. It's a personal paradigm shift and an awakening, and that vibrates through people you meet, and it's maybe much more. Grassroots than people think. I think everybody thinks it's going to be this big hands across the world, and there's still a lot of work to do. We're still dealing with a lot of. All
right. Well, we
stuff.
have a caller back, so let's give it one more try. Sounds good.
There's no echo this time, so go ahead. 812, you're live on Skywatchers, and he hangs up.
Oh no!
It might be shy.
One time.
Yeah.
I am enjoying what you said there, Steve.
Goose
I think so too. It really is. I think it happens a lot more. I mean, these conversations and these discussions than people think. I really do.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, the thing is, before. Don't get me wrong. I want my jetpack. I want my hoverboard.
Yeah.
I want all that cool stuff.
Where is my lightsaber? Where is it?
That's what I wanted. I want a lightsaber.
I want some. I want some of the Space Ghost bands. Space Ghost was my boy back in the day. But I'll tell you this. Right now, maybe let's work on making sure everyone has clean water. Maybe make sure everybody has somewhere to sleep at night. Okay, and I'm going to stop preaching, but I'm very much about let's clean up our backyard before we start jumping on another planet and stinking it up.
Holla. Thank you.
Very much so.
Preach. Please. Thank you.
Like I said, I try not to do that because, like I said, it can be annoying, but that's just my personal thoughts. It's just, like you said, we have to get our heads right and handle our own business before we get too far in it. Because the thing I've noticed, if you look at if you go back to even like Nazi Germany, the stuff that they were doing, it's like, man, did he just bring up Nazi Germany? Yeah, I just brought up Nazi Germany. If the thing is, like the stuff they did in the concentration camps, just madness. They were trying to learn something from it in their own twisted, jacked up way, but at what cost? And it's a thing where we have to look at the human component. You can't just do that. And if you're going to just ram shot over people, we lose our souls. And what's the gain? What do you really gain?
Now, here's the crazy thing. All science throughout the years have had this kind of an issue. I've read not long ago there was a report that They thought Jack the Ripper was actually a doctor who was doing these crazy murders, in the sense to try to find out some biological stuff with the people that he was cutting up. And that wouldn't shock me if it was a doctor who was doing these things as an experiment for some kind of weird or ends to a means, because that's what science has always been like. Especially biological science. Look at
gynecologist.
That too, but look at lobotomies, for example. I mean, who would have thought that poking a hole in somebody's brain was a good idea? And that's stuff that they did as law.
Well, think about this, and I'm not trying to jump on what you're saying, and understand I had to look at a lot of that for the second book, The Haunting of the Western Lunatic Asylum. That goes way back. You can see where they were drilling inside of people's heads early, like probably as far back as like the Sumerian times,
Right.
And they were thinking they're letting a demon out, but it's the start of it. It's that watershed moment when they said, "Oh, okay, maybe we can do this to fix that." I mean, that's what you got to remember. The original surgeons were basically butchers. I mean, and a lot of times because they were at such a point, like, well, I'm a doctor, I don't have to, I'm above this and that. Wouldn't wash your hands. How many people did they kill in the process? And it took so long that they finally went, "Oh, dummy, maybe you want to sanitize yourself." There's these little things called germs, and but it's one of those things that, and again, that wasn't that far back. We're very primitive animals. If you've ever listened to George Carlin, his view of humanity can be kind of dim, and I'm not far from it in the stuff I've seen. But we have a choice. We're not locked into that. We're not locked into any sort of death spin. We're all sentient creatures, and we can rationalize and pull it together if we want it. If we want it bad enough, and it might take something big to force us into it. And I hope all that comes together before anything gets too final.
I think Ronald Reagan might have had it right when he said in the UN speech years ago, what if an outside force came in and threatened all of us?
That's actually what I had thought about.
Yeah, how quickly would things change on this planet if now we're all facing this task of going against a thing that we can't even comprehend. I mean, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, and I think that might end up being what really brings this planet together at some point. Whether it be a false flag operation by the government trying to just trick us, as William Cooper wrote in his book, or whether it be something legit that really comes out of space and it just comes in here and tries to take over the planet, whatever the thing might be. I do think that would be what really does turn the corner for humanity. If not, we're never going to become a Type 1 civilization like Michio Kaku says. It's just not happening.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's a thing where Constantine, the movie. Do you remember when Gabriel said, "You know what? You only arise to your higher selves in the face of terror." And which he or she, I guess it was a lady that played him, but it was he. She was wacky, but it was a thing that was dead on. And which the guy who played, by the way, again tangent. The guy who played the devil, I'm trying to think of his name. I originally saw him in the Audi commercials, unpimp your auto, and blows it up. That was the same guy. And he's been in a bunch of stuff. He really played that role superbly, which I watch that movie a lot, too. I love that movie, too. I should have probably added that to my list. But again...
Wait, Constantine, the one with Keanu Reeves? That's the one you like?
Dude, yeah, man, okay.
That was pretty good. It's pretty good,
I thought it was good. You know something?
Okay.
All right, let me ask you something. I was watching, because I'm a weirdo, I was watching some old Rod Sterling black and white, like the grainy where the edges of the film was flickery, like early black and whites. And he was talking on there, and he would talk like this, and he kind of set his mouth a certain way. And he had this that's a really crappy Rod Sterling, but anyway.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, yeah.
Okay, but, okay. Like in the Keanu Reeves stuff, and he'd be talking and constantly he sort of had a Sterling quality to him. A Rod quality to him, and I wonder if they were to ever do that, if they would try to get him to portray Rod.
That'd be interesting.
I'm for it.
Doing that. Yeah.
I think it'd be killer.
I think he's a good actor, given the roles that he could really shine in. Like John Wick, I thought he was amazing in that movie.
Yeah, great film.
That was a great movie.
That was just an incredibly good movie.
They should have just called that movie "Keanu Reeves Beats the Shit Out of Everybody."
Everybody.
Everybody
gets an ass whooping.
That's it. That's it. Over a dog. I love it.
They killed his dog. Everybody must die.
Everybody must
man's
die.
dog. No, don't play with a masked dog.
You know what I loved about that movie? Tangent. I'm stealing Steve's word. I loved about the movie. They didn't try to make it anything that it wasn't. It was like the plot was stupid. There was literally none. Like you literally just pulled some junk out of your butt. You were like somebody sat around and said, "I want to make a movie about an assassin that kills everybody because they killed his dog," and then you got like $20 million to make this movie, and it was great.
And what's the backstory to that? Anything just like this book, it stems from something. What was the seed, man? What happened?
Oh, his wife died.
Well, no. I mean,
originally,
the person who, they, put this all together, they felt that passionately about it. To the guy, to the point where this guy was at this point to do the thing, to make the screenplay and do all that stuff. It's just, it's interesting, like backstories and stuff like that. Because like you said, there's always a start. There's always a seed to it. And that's what I like to find out. Why this happened, what happened beforehand, the forward or whatever. And I don't know, I'm quirky like that.
They're making a John Wick Part 2, right?
Are they really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it comes out next year. John Wick Chapter 2.
Yep.
I'm with
it. That should be a trilogy right there.
You know what? I will watch anything Keanu Reeves is in, mostly because he's an amazing human being.
Did you ever see his band Dogstar?
His what?
He has a band called Dogstar.
Does he really?
Oh, yeah, he's a really good musician. No kidding. Yeah, he really is.
Jams on the electric guitar, man. He gets down.
Yep.
Yeah, he knocks it out.
See, what happened was he watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure a long time ago after he came out. He saw himself, and he was like, I want to be a rock and roll star.
I just watched that the
I know
other
rock
day.
and
They
roll.
played it, and I recorded it, and my kids hadn't watched it, and they sat down. They were glued in. They just loved it. So it's almost like one of their favorite shows now. Bill and Ted's.
The show or the movie?
The movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Because there was actually a TV show on Fox that lasted about 8 episodes. It was really good.
That was like 7 episodes too long.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sorry.
It's bad as the Bogus Adventure, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's milk this for what it's worth. But anyway. Oh, I was going to tell you too, real quick about the book. We've completely left the book at this point.
Yeah. Let's go back to the book.
But I'll tell you this: there was a place. It's called Vinegar Hill, and Vinegar Hill is okay. If you don't have family. You have a few options when you die. Used to, like, if an inmate would die, they used to donate the body to medical science or whatever. But a lot of times they just didn't have any family or whatever, and they would plant them up in what they call the Potter's Field, and that was called Vinegar Hill. Well, that is in behind the prison a little ways, but anyway, you can't get to it. And
you wonder why there's ghosts in prisons.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's one of those things that. It had been reported stuff, and I had a story where a person had reported almost like a hellhound. Not to get too supernatural on it, which I won't even get into supernatural. My that's like canon in my house. They love that. But it was they were down there. Had a guy who did parkour, and he was from like a slightly smaller area called Murray, Kentucky. It had Murray University and stuff. It's a fairly prestigious college in this area. And anyway, he was down visiting with some friends that lived on the water. And they said, well, hey, let's go on a night run. We would go through, which is always a great idea. Hey, let's go running around in the woods at night. It's bright.
You white people in your night runs.
Yeah. But they're like, hey, let's do this. I haven't been here in years. Well, let's go check out old Vinegar Hill, to see if it's even, still, if I don't know if they're still putting people in the ground, whatever. Anyway, they thought it was a great idea. And they got up there and really encountered some really dark stuff. Had this thing chasing, kind of, Evil Deadish. There's something tromping in behind you, to the point where basically the only thing that stopped them was the dawn, and that they finally crossed over the threshold onto the Potter's Field, which is hallowed ground. And whatever it was, which you hear about, like animals that are protectors of the graveyard, but this wasn't in the graveyard; it was outside the graveyard. So again, what was it? I have no clue. It was just a really super freaky story, and I wanted to put it in here because it had to do with the prison, and it was so dang odd, and it ties in a little bit with, like you said, like the was it Miss Guiley? It talks about like the dog men and things like that and all that. It branches off on a little bit of that. And what's so crazy is I'd actually gotten several stories past the release of that, and that's the thing. It's like, why didn't you get a hold of me 2 months ago? I would have tried to include it, but basically what it is building me up for like like Heinz's Kentucky State Penitentiary second offense or something. I don't know, tied in like that. But that's still going on, but that's just again, like you said, that sort of little weird local thing. But that's the same thing with Western State. It's still a functioning facility, and which now the other place is defunct now. But I thought I would toss that in there. But go ahead.
Steve, we're almost out of time here, and it sucks because we could go on for another hour with you. We've got to have you back on like really soon.
Yeah, man, I'll never shut up. Yeah, you gotta like pull me off the thing. I'll keep running.
No.
No dead air with me.
It's good.
No, you're awesome. That's what we love on the show. Believe me. The last thing we want is somebody who gives us like one word answers. Like, tell us about your book. It was a book. I wrote it.
It's on paper.
No.
Yeah.
We hate that. So no, you're awesome. But I want you to give out your URL if there's a website for folks that could follow your work, follow your books, and where you're going to be at. I mean, are you doing any lectures, any speeches anywhere, any conventions at all in the near future?
Well, like I said, I'm kind of a little fish in a big pond with this kind of thing, but I do have some local signings, obviously.
Cool.
With the place Crystal will never go with the local Walmart. Maybe she'll pelt tomatoes or something. But cause some trouble, man. Come up there, it's like there's a woman in sleep pants beating the hell out of people out front. I don't want you.
Peace and love. Would not do.
I'm gonna sit next to go
I
up there.
just got my karma straight. I'm not messing it up.
I would have somebody just go out front and say "Le Plume d'Etan," and she'll run down the hill. Because that's what The Exorcist said, and I don't like that at all. But yeah, I do have a book signing at the town Walmart on the 30th, and I also have a read more books in Massillville, Kentucky. There's going to be a book signing, a meet and greet, and there's some other little stuff like that I'm lining up. I'm looking into conventions and stuff. You got to remember, this is new skin for me to get used to. But if you do want to learn about the book, you'd want to go to Amazon, www.amazon.com, and just punch in Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary, or punch in Stevie Asher on Google. That'll take you to my Facebook. I got a Twitter. I got a LinkedIn. I got all that different stuff. I'm working on a website just right now. I'm plugging the book day and night, so not a lot of time for it. But also, for sure, urge go to Permuted Press. My God, I'm sitting here blanking. Go to Permuted Press. Erin Rainey, she covers that site, and also does the one on Facebook. They'll tell you all about it. And if anybody is interested in having me speak, which I don't know why you would after hearing me right now, but if you'd like to have me mumble through like an idiot for 30, 40 minutes, I'm your guy, and I'm glad to do it. I'm all available for children's parties, and yes,
love it.
No, you've been great, Steve. You really have. We definitely have to have him back on. Real soon, guys. Steve was great. You guys, we're all out of time, unfortunately. We'll be back next week. Love you all.